Nobody me, and I and you, whatever you at.
It's the Faith Walk Talk Show. We talk about all things faith.
So don't grow weary, do not fear that you'll never get there.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming back for another episode of the Faith Walk Talk Show. I'm so excited that you're here. And when you watch the full show, leave a comment, like the video, let us know what you think, or if you want to reach out to the guest speaker, her information will be in the description. So I'm here today with Miss Shaletha Marshall.
Hello, everyone. How are you guys doing on today?
Good. So now, if you don't know me, I'm Breeanna Banks. I'm the founder and creative of Kingdom Society Apparel and Kingdom Society Consulting. I have two businesses, but one purpose, that's to build the kingdom of God. So I am here today with someone that has a business that in the kingdom we don't talk about. We don't do. So I'm excited to talk to her about it. And her business is called the Creative Coaching Link. She's a divorce coach. She's an entrepreneur, author, and she's the founder of the Creative Link Coaching. She is a divorced mom and dedicated in helping professional women through divorce by encouraging, empowering, and education. So I'm excited because even though the kingdom may not like the D word, I just feel like it's really a relevant topic because we're going to get into it. So hello, just tell everybody hi, and I'll let you introduce yourself a little more.
Okay. Hello again, everyone. I am Shaletha Marshall, and like Breeanna said, I am a divorce coach strategist. Of course, that is not, in the Bible or whatever, but this is the vision that God has given me from going through my divorce and, my painful situation. So he has raised me up as a daughter in his kingdom to help other women who are going through divorce to know that they are not in this alone. When I was going through my situation, I felt like I was all by myself. So I am just here to help other women, to give them support and encouragement during that traumatic time in their life.
So awesome. And the thing that we should talk about is the thing that the enemy tries to tell us about divorce and how he tries to talk to us and tell us. I think it's two-sided, right? So when you're not being treated well, that you're supposed to still stay in the marriage because you're a Christian and God wants you to honor the institution of marriage. And then there's this other side of you that feels like I deserve to be treated better. What do you say to women who are in that situation where their faith and their religion is weighing on them, and they're in that dilemma of should I consider myself or stay true to what I believe? I think that's a good topic, girl. Let's get into it. Okay.
That's definitely a good question. I myself can say that I struggled with that as well because I knew, what the Lord said about divorce and especially women. And as I was going through my situation, God actually did take me to scriptures. Like he pointed out things to me in the Bible that helped me get a better understanding of my situation. And even though we are going through those things and divorce is on the table, the way God spoke to me and led me through my situation was I was not to leave. I was not to file for a divorce. If that was going to happen, it would have to have come from my ex-husband. So, and I just stood by that, since God was showing me those things, I was like, okay, this is something that he wants me to do. Like, don't be in my feelings, don't be in my emotions. And, when you're going through those type of situations, you are running off of emotions and your feelings. And it's like, okay, boom, let me try to do something so that I could cover myself or I could secure myself. But literally, God told me to just stay in the marriage and just continue to seek Him. And that's one thing that I tell women, go to God first. Because if you don't go to Him first, like you said, the enemy is going to plant seeds in our head. The enemy is going to tell us all these lies. And then that's the route that we're going to take. And it's not going to be the route that God actually intended for us. Even if the marriage is wrong, even if you have learned from, that experience, God will still turn it around, and that's what He did for me. Like He pointed out for me. I'm probably getting too ahead, but He pointed out to me that I didn't ask Him about the marriage. Actually, I did ask Him and say, God, is this right? Is this the one for me or whatever? But He told me that I didn't wait for His answer. So I took it upon myself that, oh, okay, this is God doing, let me go ahead on with the marriage and XYZ. And, then I had a baby like 6 months after we got married. So I'm just like, okay, this is all God's work. This is God's doing. In reality, it wasn't. I was moving off my own feelings and my own emotions of being over 30 and not married. So I just took that upon myself to do, and that's why I'm in the situation where I'm in now.
Well, no, I think you made some really great points about just even how we have that pressure as women of getting married and having children. And then, sometimes it works out, right? Because I know people who got married when they were 16 years old and stay married until they get old, right? But then there's other situations where we're like, okay, okay, then what? Then if as a woman, we have to worry about, well, if we don't have a baby by a certain age, we may not be able to have a baby, right? We have these pressures on us to have a family. And I don't even think family like really understands the type of pressure that they put on us, because even even when I got married in February of last year, my husband's mother, now me and my husband have our, we both came into marriage with a child.
Okay.
She even said to us when we got married, well, when y'all gonna have some more children? I'm like, why would you put that pressure on us? We're good. Like, we don't need any more children. Like just even, I don't even think she meant it that way. But back in your mind, you're like, why would we were
Especially
okay.
if you both have a kid already, it's like, well, now we have 2 kids. So what are you talking about?
Yeah, like I was like, why would she say that? Like, so I think like family doesn't even realize the kind of things that they say to us that kind of shape us and to kind of make us feel like what we have may not be enough. Okay, like who we are in this time and space is just not enough. You need to have a baby to be more. You need a husband to be more. And a lot of times we'll hold on to those things, right? And we don't make good decisions when it comes to the spouse, because we're just so caught up on, we need the family, we need the baby. And
get this done before this time, this age.
and then you feel like it's a certain level of failure if you don't have it. And I think everybody just kind of has their own idea what their life would be or should be, right? And then we get in these tricky situations, and like you said, we're just not consulting God, right? We're just like, okay, this is going to work out, this is going to be good. And then we're here, and you may be dealing with some things in the marriage that if we would have waited on God, right, He would have directed us. And then the other thing that you said was, you were like, about the not consulting God was a really good one. And there was another point, I'll come back to it. But another thing, so when you got married and God told you not to leave, right?
Yes.
Let's just talk about that. So the thing about not leaving that people may be like, well, I'm not going to be treated like anything. Can you kind of expound on that a little bit when you say I stayed, even though it wasn't the marriage that I wanted? Can you kind of expound that a little bit?
Yes, I believe once you like come into agreement with God, or like get on some type of alignment with Him, I believe that He will keep you during that time. I can say for me, I wasn't dealing with physical abuse, so I didn't like have to really deal with that part of it. But as far as the emotional abuse and all the other things that went on, I believe that God really did keep me in some form, because even though I wasn't 100% sure of like what exactly was going on, but I did know, infidelity was happening, and I didn't get any diseases, anything could have happened during that time. And I just believe that God really did save me during that time, because like I said, I don't know what was going on or what was happening, but like I said, I feel that if you do get into an agreement with God, He will keep you during that time until He say that it's over, or until, like in my case, until the ex did move out the house, and that's when I began to have my peace and my come to Jesus moment, and just really started following God on what it is that He wanted me to do.
And I like that you said that you made that agreement with God, and you just wanted to honor that assignment with God, right? The assignment is I'm going to be a wife to my husband. So that's my assignment. So I'm going to make sure that I complete my assignment. I really like the fact that you look at it that way, instead of saying, well, I felt trapped. No, you're saying my commitment was with the Lord, and the Lord wanted me to be a wife to my husband. I really like that. That was your kind of like your headspace.
Oh no,
Because
it took
I
some
think some
time to
people get
get
that
there.
twisted in a sense of being loyal and having a covenant with the Lord, right? You just like, you being loyal with no purpose behind it, right? I really like that. That was faith, because so often, get a little trick when you think loyalty is more important than the covenant with God, or your self-care, or what you're going through, but and I love the fact that you say that the Lord kept me, because that is so true. He is a keeper. When you honor Him, He will keep you. I have never seen anyone honor the Lord and he not cover them,
Honor
not
them, right?
provide. Yes, so that's a good point. And I just and just even, I'm newly married, but the D word, I can I'm gonna be so truthful right here. And I never really, just talk like this, but
It's
when
okay.
we first got married, I used to throw that D word around all the time. If you don't do it, I'm gonna divorce you. And it's really not anything you should play with. Being a young wife, I didn't really understand how much that D word hurt my husband when I said it. But for me, it was just like, you need to do it, or I'm gonna divorce you. And we had to have a conversation about it, because for him, it felt as if I was just so okay to just walk away so quickly. And for me, it was more so that word scares him, so he's gonna do what I want if I use that word. I never wanted the divorce. You know what I'm saying? So you got to be careful about using the D word in your marriage.
Yeah, and that's one thing I could say for me too. I didn't realize, even though it says it in the Bible, but we don't really take what it says in the Bible like for what it is. And it says that we have power in our tongue. And when I was going through, the situation, I can be honest, I said a lot of hurtful things. Because like you said, when you hurt or frustrated or in your feelings, you just trying to get their attention. So you saying, whatever comes to your head. And for me, that's one of the things that I did do. I was hurting with my mouth. And I realized after the fact that a lot of stuff probably could have been prevented if I wouldn't have said certain things. But you don't know. But of course, I know better now. So I definitely watch what I say. I even watch my thought process, because
That's
if you
good.
think it, then that's how you feel. So I want to keep my mind and my heart as pure as possible. So I just try not to get frustrated or irritated, to the best of my ability.
I really like that. I like the way you your whole headspace about it. I just love it because it's not rooted. So when you when divorce is talked about, a lot of times it's associated with something negative. And I like that when I talk to you, like this conversation is nothing negative. It
Right.
is so positive in the fact of you're saying like I stayed positive with my marriage. I worked on my marriage. It's not coming from a bitter place. Sometimes when you try to help people from a bitter place, you really hurt them.
Oh,
And so
right. Yeah.
so yeah, I really like how, the space that you carry with that. And that's probably why the your coaching is probably very successful, because you carry that. I'm sure you carry that along with your coaching, with your educating and your encouragement, and empowering the women, not to even just hold on to that stigma of being a divorcee, right? Because
Mhm.
there's still life after that,
Right.
and God
You're
can still
right.
use you after that. So I really like that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and that's what I stress in my group, because it's funny that you said that, because I do have a Facebook group called Life There Is Life After Divorce. And it's a community where we just come together, where a safe place for women, to where they can come and share what's going on, or if they need any advice or help, we all communicate with each other and try to help them or give them advice as much as we can. Of course, everyone's situation is different, but the end goal for me is to make sure that everybody's mental is straight, because going through that, that's nothing to play with. Even though you say you was throwing it around, it wouldn't have been that easy if you were to go through that process.
I
Trust me, it
know,
is
I
it is
know.
definitely a tough pill to swallow. And some people don't recover from it. Thank the Lord that I was able to recover from it. But it was hard. But it took a lot of work. And like I said, it took a lot of communication with God on what it is that He wanted from me and wanted me to do for myself. And that was something that He said, to carry myself as a married woman, no matter what happened. And it was hard, because I wanted to be out there. I was like, well, Lord, He did XYZ. I can do that too. Lord, He left me, so I'm single. And He was like, no, you are still married. So carry yourself as a married woman. And that's what I had to do. Like, I mean, that's what really made my mind shift. Like, okay, like you said, this is the assignment that I have right now, and this is what I have to carry out until He say otherwise.
And the thing about it is, I think like when I think I think divorce in some cases can be avoided.
Mhm.
If I can say that when issues arrive, if you are not working on issues, you know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
like I feel a lot of times divorce rates are high, and I just and they say it. A lot of times the divorce happens over finances, but
Right.
a lot of times it's communication.
Communication. Yes.
It's communication, and so you may be communicating. See, this is what I'm learning in my marriage. When I communicate with my husband, it has to come from a way of respect for
Mm-hmm.
him to receive what I'm saying. If I'm not being respectful about what I'm saying to him, it's hard for him to receive it. So I have to come out of myself a lot of times, instead of having an attitude,
Yeah.
come at him more respectfully. So and listen, like you think you get it's some kind of I don't know, like vindication when you're like snapping and going, you know what I'm saying? It's like make
Yeah.
you feel better that you kind of, you get to
Right.
express yourself in that way, but it's not always the most productive way to go.
Right. Right.
So I can
Yeah.
say I feel like communication is probably like one of the biggest things in marriage that you have to work on, because you have to understand two different people, two
Right.
different.
And two different communication styles. And that's why, even like me now, I always pray and say, Lord, give me the words to say, because they're not going to receive it from Shaletha. And that's true. a lot of people don't receive anything from Shaletha as a person, but when it's God speaking through me, people tend to hear it better, you know, the things that I'm saying better and receive it better as when I'm telling them something. So that's maybe a practice that you can say, like, Lord, give me the words to say, because think about it, God already knows what you guys are going through. He already knows his mind and his heart. So just say, Lord, even, you can even go as far as like, Lord, this is your son. How do you want me to talk to your son? You know, and even that shift alone will probably make a big difference, because the Holy Spirit will start speaking through you, you know, as God talking to his son, you know. So that's just something I learned too, also going through, like the Lord was like, no, you can't do anything to him. He's my child too. And I was like, wow, you're right.
That's
So,
good. No, that's a good nugget. Yes,
mhm,
that's really good. Yeah, you're right, because sometimes we have the tendency to not extend the grace that people
yes,
deserve, because we feel like they don't deserve grace,
right,
but they
right.
are still God's child. I really like that. You
Mhm,
got some good
yes.
nuggets. So, what are you telling some of your maybe a potential client when they may come to you and they may think they're on the verge of that, and maybe they come to you to ask for advice on avoiding some roadblocks? What are some tips that you give them?
First, I would say you have to commune with God, because like I just told you, we don't know what the other person's thinking, and then they don't know what we're thinking. Believe it or not, just like we are worried about how we communicate with them, men are worried about how they communicate with us as well. They just don't show it or tell it. And they want to make sure that they're communicating properly and being heard at the same time. So it really does start from just having that communication with God and seeking Him on what it is that He wants you to do or say. Because sometimes God will tell you, don't say anything, He will work on the person. So if you're always griping and, you know, attacking the other person, you just may be out of line, because God didn't tell you to say anything, period. God may give him a dream one day, have someone else speak into him, and it may just click like that, you know. But if all he hear is the nagging, the griping, the arguments, as soon as he walk in the house, of course he's not going to be receptive to hear anything you say. Like, men shut down so quickly, and I can attest to that, because I'm the same way. If I'm not trying to hear it, or if it's something that I don't want to do, I will shut down. I'm just not having it. So I do understand them on that part, but it's like, women, we have to understand as well, because we do talk a lot and we like to get our points across and our points heard. And so another thing that I suggest is writing out your thoughts. That helped me a lot as well. Write them down, because it may be a time where he comes to you and say, hey babe, okay, what's going on? What are some things that's bothering you? Da da da. And by having that list will help you, instead of just coming out just throwing everything at him. You know, have writing those things down will help you to articulate things better. You know, you may write some down, and you may say, oh wow, that looks weird. Let me rewrite that, you know, because sometimes just taking a step back and getting those thoughts together and processing it, that helps as well. So, like I said, first you have to commune with God on what it is that He wants you to do and say.
I really like that. And I'm gonna tell you what comes to mind is when God told Moses to strike the stone. I mean, to
Mhm,
speak to the stone, and he
mhm.
hit it. And because he was disobedient, God punished him for it. And
Right.
so that's what comes to mind, is that when God, instead of us putting our hands on stuff,
Yes.
if we was that's the reason why things sometimes fall apart, because we're
All
not
apart.
obedient.
Mhm,
When God tell
mhm.
you to speak to it in prayer, instead of us touching it with in ourselves, it's,
Yeah.
we got to be careful with that. And it could be that God is saying, let me do the work. You don't have to work. Let me do the work. He's my son. I can take care of him. I can fix this. I am the one who created him, you know, and that's just kind of what, when you said, you know, talk about talking, you know, be careful, you know, because even it was that story where he struck it and he wasn't supposed to touch it. He was supposed to speak to it. And so often, instead of us going to God in prayer about something, we'll come and we'll take it out on him. We'll tell him how we feel when we should have took it to God. Because what I do know is that God cares for us, and even the little hairs on our head, he cares for. So he cares about how we feel, you know. So that's a good, now that's a really good point.
And even if one thing that I've learned as well, and especially with speaking, you know, with other women, even if the marriage wasn't God ordained, he can still turn it around. But both parties have to seek God and commune with God. Both parties have to want it. It's not going to work or happen if only one person is doing all the work. One person is praying, one person is going, you know, it's just going to be like, okay, Lord, you know, eventually the one person is going to say, okay, Lord, nothing is happening now. What, you know, and that can tarnish your faith as well. So it's like you both have to want it. You both have to try, and you both have to work hard at it to be able to have your marriage restored. There are a lot of marriages that have been restored, but then there are some where it just didn't work, like mine. And I had to be okay with that. Of course, you know, I had a young daughter at the time, and I didn't want that to happen. But at the end of the day, that's not how it worked. And I'm okay with that. And I know that God has other promises for me as well, but you know, they haven't happened, and I'm still okay with that. Like I know better now to not just go out there looking for some and try to rush into some just to be married. No, that's definitely not what I'm gonna do again. You know, so it's like if you learn from your mistakes and really dig deep and seek God on the things that you've done wrong, don't even worry about what he done wrong. You need to know what you done wrong so that you can correct it and fix it and become a different person and have that different mindset and outlook on life in relationships. Like there's a lot of things that I did wrong, or just because of my thought process of how I grew up and the things that I've seen and just the things that the church even taught us. A lot of things that we learned in church wasn't really right or biblical, you know. So that's why it's important that you have to have that relationship with God yourself and get in the word. Like you have to read the word yourself, because believe it or not, everything that we're going through or experiencing is literally in the Bible in some form or fashion. Like you can find your answer and your help in the Bible before you go call your girlfriend and tell on the business and getting wrong advice. Like just take, and that's one thing that I practice now. I literally take a breath and I say, okay, Lord, what am I supposed to do? Because I would used to be quick to call somebody, but now I know that's not the right thing to do. You have to come to him first before you go to anybody else.
And I like that you're making that a point, and because sometimes we want that instant gratification. We can't wait on God to tell us what we need to do. And so the instant gratification is to pick up the phone and have somebody co-sign with how you feel, right? Right. It makes you feel better. But taking it to God is so much more purposeful and productive, and you know, than to carry it to, not saying don't you know, communicate, but I'm saying if you don't make God the priority of your problems, instead of saying, oh well, let me just call my sister, because I'm, you know, listen, you speaking,
I know she gonna agree with me. I know she gonna feel how I feel.
Yeah, you know, you want that instant gratification and, you know, being justified in your feelings or whatever. But you really, in all honesty, I heard this before I got married. Everybody says, keep everybody out of your marriage.
Yeah.
Because whether you realize it or not, those people influence you.
Yes.
Whether you realize it or not, they are influencing you, or they are affirming negativity that you really, in all honesty, that you really probably gonna let go, because you love the person you with. You're gonna let them go. You're gonna let it go, and then they more likely probably still holding on to it, and you didn't let it go because you still want your marriage to work.
Right. And that's what I was gonna say. And then whenever y'all come around, they project that energy on it. And like you said, y'all have moved past it, you have worked on it, and y'all are in a good place. And it's hard when they're projecting something. You're like, well, why are you looking like that? Why are you talking to us like that? We're good now. But they don't see that you're good now. All they know is the negativity that you've said. And that's the thing. Nobody would know what happens in your home unless you tell them. So that's why it's important. Like, yeah, I know you, like you said, you want to pick up that phone, you want that instant. And my thing is, I tell people, go sit in the car and talk. If you look crazy, sound crazy, nobody else here, at least you're getting it out, because when you keep it bottled in, that's when the illnesses start, the headaches start, the anxiety starts. So you have to get it out. I'm not saying keeping it in, because you have to get it out, because it would eat away at you. So I say go sit in the car and just talk, like act as if your friend's sitting right there or whatever. I tell people talk to God, because actually that's who we're supposed to talk to anyway. So just go in the car and be like, Lord, I'm mad right now. He already knows you mad. He already knows you frustrated. He wants you to tell him that you're mad. So that's one thing that I say too. Just go and have a moment with God, even if it's sitting in the tub, the shower, on the floor, however you do it. For me, I just like to go outside. So I'll sit in the car and, that's my time with, God. And I'll be like, look, now I know you saw that. I know you just heard what he said to me.
Yeah.
So, and it's nothing wrong with that. Like, I honestly feel that would be better than picking up the phone and calling somebody, or that would be better than you responding to the person who is, making you feel some type of way. Like, and you come out feeling good and having peace, and you haven't drawn somebody else in your situation, or, that's how I feel. Like, if we keep bringing people in, I feel like we're tarnishing their spirit as well. So I try to just keep it all to myself between me and God, and don't bring no one else in the mix.
That's a really good point. I really like that. Go sit out in the car, because you're right. I love that. That's a good tip.
Yeah, so that's like one day I was praying, and I was having a moment. Like, I love to go worship in the car, because the music sound better to me in the car. So I love to go. And I was just going in one day, and when I like raised my head up, I didn't even know I had like went down almost to the floor pretty much. And the lady was looking like, is she okay in there? But it's like just having that isolation to where you can really see God and hear God and worship with God. That's just the best feeling ever.
I really like that. You got some good tips. Good tips. I know your coaching is for divorcees, but I'm married. You helping me. I mean, you got this stuff. So
Yeah.
So what I wanted to talk to you about next is what was the deciding factor in your life where you came to and you said, okay, Lord, I'm going to be okay with being a divorce coach. Let's talk about that.
That was actually hard for me when he told me that, because I was like, well, Lord, how can I help other women? I'm going through a divorce. I'm broken. I'm damaged. Like all of the lies that the enemy was just filling my head with. I have a child. I'm gonna be a single mother. All these things was coming up, and basically he was just like, I don't care about that. Your life is not. You're not here for yourself. Your life is not. You're not here to just live and do things for yourself. You're here to help other people. So you have to go through things in order to help people. And one thing that he shared with me was, if I don't go through any of these things, how would I be able to help other women? And it made sense, like, how could I just say, oh, I'm a help women, I'm inspire women, and I've never went through anything in my life, So that's what really made me understand better, the task that he wants me to do. Yeah, it's hard. It's draining, it's time consuming, all the things above. But when you work for God, as you know, you have a different outlook. You have this peace, you have this joy. And I get joy out of helping women. I get joy out of helping women have that aha moment, or when they feel like they at the lowest low, but then they realize, oh, wait, I can stand again. I can get back up, because we are here for a bigger picture. Now, if we give in to the enemy and just believe all the things that he says, the lies and this, that, and that, you will stay stuck. You will stay bound, and you won't accomplish anything, and you won't rise up above that divorce or above that heartbreak. It's other things out there that can give you joy and peace and happiness besides the relationship. And that's one thing that I really learned. Like, you don't need a relationship to be happy. You actually need God first. And he is the one that provides you with the happiness and the joy and the peace. And once you get that relationship, that's just an added bonus. Once you get that marriage, it's an added bonus.
I listen, nuggets through the whole talk. I listen, if you don't get anything from this, please know you do not need a relationship to be happy. Let's say it for the people in the back. You do not need a relationship to be happy. Listen, you do
what
not
my son say? You basically have to love yourself. God literally told me that I did not love myself. And that's why I was ending up in relationship after relationship after relationship. I had to love myself first. How would someone know how to love you if you don't even know how to love yourself? How can you expect a man to do, say, treat, or act you in a type of way when you don't even know how to do those things? You ask some people, some women, what it is that you like to do. I don't know. So how is he gonna know what you like to do?
Right.
If you don't know what you like, and I know it sounds so simple, but this is real life. And these are the things that God showed me within myself. Like, ma'am, you was not doing all that you needed to do. So that's why he couldn't give you anything that he didn't have. He couldn't give you what he didn't know to give. And until you learn those things and start to value yourself and see yourself as who he's called you to be, first of all, you have to love your name. That was something that I struggled with. I was like, when I grow up, I'm going to change my name. I did not like Shaletha. But hey, God knew that's what my name was going to be. And that's who I am. So I had to even learn to love my name. It's just so many things that you have to learn as a human being and as a child of God. Like, I can go on and on about that, but it's just so much. It's just so much more to just being a woman here, I want to have kids. It's just so much more that we just do not even know or realize, and that we're not actually taught. And that's why I feel that he are raising up so many women to be the spokesperson for him, to go out here and teach his daughters, to go out here and educate, other women, other believers. There's no one out here teaching us.
And I'm gonna say, I was just gonna get to that point of saying that I think this is such a new what unique way of showing up in the kingdom. Okay. Yeah. And that's why I'm just like, when I saw what you did, I was like, this is a unique thing for the kingdom, because it's such like the thing you don't do, but yeah, it's such a real thing that happens within the church. So let's be real and deal with the real issues in the church, so that we can deal with the real things in our life, and stop being phony, like divorce doesn't happen, or you shouldn't get a divorce. It is cases in the Bible where it says you have the right to get a divorce. Let's just keep it real. But should you go in your marriage to get a divorce? You should give your marriage 200%, not 100%. Give your marriage 200%, so that when it does come, or if it has to come, if God releases you to a divorce, you know within yourself, you gave it not 100, but 200%. So you can have some peace knowing that you did everything that you could. And after that, that's all you can do. And guess what? When God released you from that, just like he kept you in that situation, he's going to keep you afterwards. And I think that your coaching is so needed, because the enemy just likes to attack us in our mind and tell us, oh, well, we're not good enough. You know, we're not. To believe that they're not enough. That's a lie from the pits of hell. You are enough. Okay.
And that becomes your first thought, especially like in my situation, knowing that, you know, he cheated. Your first instance is, okay, what did I do? What was I not doing? What could I have done more of? Or what could I change? And the one thing that God told me was, there's nothing more that I could have done, because he was going to do those things anyway. So that's why I stress it's important to communicate with God, because he literally will answer all your questions. Like, I didn't even get answers from my ex. God told me half the stuff that was going on in my marriage. Like, there's things that I just don't know from him, but God showed me and told me. And that was how I learned a lot, you know, from just building that relationship with him and seeking him for advice. Because there was times where I couldn't ask him for anything. And God was just literally speaking to me, when I tell you, showing me stuff that was in front of me that I didn't even see. And I'm like, wow, this been here all this time, you know.
Listen, I love your spirit. I love how you are rooted in the Lord. And I love the fact that you are you are really working on taking that stigma away from divorce, because talking to you, it's no bitterness. It's not, you're not talking about marriage crazy, because you know some people when they get divorced say, oh, don't ever get married. You're not even. I love that you are not. That's not your purpose in this. Your purpose is to educate, encourage, and empower women. And listen, that's more of what God would want us to do, right? He would want us to be there for one another. And you do it in a way that's teaching them how to live on and go on. Like, don't get stuck there. There's life after. And what I found in talking in one of my other talks is that a lady said that she grieved. Her grief that she felt from losing her husband, but I'm translating over to this is what she, the grief that you may feel from being divorced is real, and you, and it's okay to get some help with dealing with that grief of, you lost someone that you literally got married to, that you were supposed to be one with, that you spent your life, that, you had intentions on spending your life with, so when that separation happens, y'all became one. So it's very real when this happens that you may need some help, to move on, or to even just deal with some things inside of you, and I like that there is a coaching program by Creative Coaching Link that has a program that can help you get through this. I love it. And you should, if you are going through a divorce, if you have gotten out of the marriage and you are still seeing that there are some things that you're still dealing with, get a coach. Get a coach. I think coaches, not even just a divorce coach, but like a life coach, right? A grief coach, all those things. I feel like God is just so awesome in that way that he imparts certain people with that kind of wisdom and knowledge that you need. And all you have to do is be humble enough to go get it.
Right.
Be humble enough to say, you know what, I do need a divorce coach. And
that was one thing that I did. I didn't have a divorce coach, but I did go to therapy. I was like, I need help. I'm going crazy. I went through a depression, having anxiety over things. And I couldn't do it by myself. I couldn't. And I had to be okay with that. Like, I didn't listen to the stigma of, oh, well, Black people don't have therapists. Black people don't go to counseling. Yes, we do need it. We have issues. We have issues that started way before the marriage that we didn't know we had. And like you said, getting a coach, getting help, seeking anybody is better than trying to do this by yourself because it is not easy. Uh, I even talk about it in my book. That was a death. Like I really felt like, yeah, the marriage did basically die, and that's the chapter in my book, like death. That was so hard. It took a toll on my body, me mentally, physically, like emotionally, to even where it was just hard to even take care of my daughter. Like I was just done. At one time, I was like, what is there even to live for? You know, because like you said, you get married, you have these plans, you build this life, and I just got so wrapped up into that to where I feel like there was nothing else for me to do. And that was one thing that God pointed out to me as well. I made my marriage an idol. I wasn't seeking Him no more. I wasn't talking to Him no more once I was married. I just started, living life and putting everything into the marriage and not seeking Him. And He did tell me I made my marriage an idol. And so that's one thing that I've learned, like never do it again. We don't even realize how we make the simplest things a God. And he clearly states in his words, don't put no God before him. And that's what I did.
Listen, awesome tips. I got something to add to that. So I saw a t-shirt that said, prayer is a weapon, therapy is the strategy. And I really like that, right? Because continue to pray, but
Yeah.
get a strategy to work through it. Talk about it, but talk about it with God, but get a strategy to work through it, because God does give us the power to speak over things and to help, and gives us the resources that we need to help ourselves. So many times in the Bible, you read where somebody needed something and God sent something there to help them. So if God could send a simple T-shirt, right? Prayer is a weapon, but therapy is a strategy. And I just listen. So many times that stigma around therapy, people don't want to get it. It's okay to get
It's
therapy.
okay.
And a lot of times, if we would have got the therapy, we would have, listen, we could not, when you get the therapy, what you can do, get the therapy. And what you can also do is tools. You got it. You listen, therapy, coaching. Now you got the tools that when someone is around you that has the same problem, you know what to say. You know how to encourage them. You know how to educate them. You know how to empower them in their situation. So
So true. So true.
I have enjoyed our talk. And I would make sure to put all your information in the description. Is there anything else that you want to tell the people? You got anything going on that you want to tell the people about?
As of right now, no. I don't have anything going on now, but you can look up my name, Shaletha Marshall, on Amazon and get my books. I have two books out on Amazon, The Things Women Endure and Biblical Promises from God. And I have a couple of writing journals on there because one thing that helped me was writing. So, like I said, I wrote my thoughts. I wrote when I was mad. I wrote, God, I'm mad today. Just those little simple things, it helps you with the healing process. So writing is a part of healing. And that's what actually helped me and produce my first book, The Things Women Endure. I just wrote until God was like, okay, you have a book. And I was like, what? I didn't write a book. In reality, I did. I was just writing something every day, not even realizing that he had a bigger plan than I had for myself. So, but the one thing I want to say is to women, don't be ashamed. That's one thing that we do take on is the shame. And that's what I did. I took on the shame of my ex-husband cheating and having a baby. I kept that a secret to where it almost literally drove me crazy. And I couldn't keep that secret anymore. And God told me that wasn't my burden to bear. that was his burden, but I took that on as mine and trying to protect myself and our image in the marriage. You know, I just kept all these secrets. Like even when we started the divorce process, nobody knew we were going through a divorce. Like it was still like we was a family, even though he was living in his own place, I was living in mine. But don't be ashamed. Your situation is what it is. And if God said move, move. If he says stay, stay, and trust him when he says stay. Because you never know what can happen. He can restore the marriage, turn things around like it never happened before. I've seen couples where, yeah, they've had issues and, you know, then they stayed married and, you know, giving the relationship to God. And their marriage is great. Like nothing has ever happened. So I strongly just say seek God first on the marriage or the divorce and what it is that he wants you to do moving forward. Because that's all that matters is what he wants you to do and what you do after that. If you want to just stay mad and stay angry and stay fighting, he gonna let you keep doing that. If you don't want to see his plan, see the goodness that he has for you, um, then he's gonna take his hand off of you. So I didn't want to be that person. That's why I was like, okay, Lord, what you want me to do?
Well, hey, well, listen, you heard it here on the Faith Walk Talk Show from Miss Shaletha Marshall. Please go out, get her book so you can read all about her journey and how she overcame. She's an overcomer, praise God. And now she is teaching, she is helping, and she is empowering women to be who God has called them to be and to have the strength, the courage, and the knowledge to move forward in the next leg of the journey. So I have Miss Shaletha, thank you so much for coming to the Faith Walk Talk Show.
Thank you.
You know that I try to love on all my guests, so you will have a coupon code.
Okay.
You are welcome. You will have a coupon code for your audience. So we do this because the Faith Walk Talk Show is about faith. That's the foundation of everything that I do. Is rooted in my faith in God and what God has done for me. And so every year we do a Woman of Faith Award. And so to get the topic going, we start the conversation of faith. And when I tell you, when you listen to all the stories of their faith walks, you will be surprised at how many women of God have strength, knowledge, and power. And that's strength, knowledge, and power. And they're so transparent to help people. So I pray that when you watch this, that you will be helped and empowered. And so the Faith Walk Talk Show is about creating a space for believers to increase their faith. So we hope that by you watching this show, that your faith has been increased, that you've gotten something from this that will help you along your way in life. So thank you so much for coming on, and I will see you later.
Bye.
Bye.